Hello again, friends, gamers, geeks, and nerds of all kind. Thanks for joining me on this wonderful Thursday in March, where it's still snowing outside in our nation's capital. It's crazy, crazy town. But again, this podcast, this show is not about the weather. This is not your Rick Santelli. No, that's the wrong guy. Wrong show. Anyway, it's not the Weather Channel, damn it. This is about video games. And, being that it's about video games, I wanted to talk about something that's been bothering me. There's a lot of things that bother me. And over the course of a year, you're probably going to find out that that list it's just not long enough. I can always find more things that bother me. But on the top of the list today is entitlement. And I'm not talking about what an older generation or a middle-aged family might call entitlement, like that girl in New Jersey who was suing her parents for college tuition. I'm not talking about that kind of entitlement. That because you exist, that you breathe, that you are therefore owed something from the universe. Your opinion has to be heard somewhere by someone. Your feelings have to be validated. I'm not talking about that kind of entitlement. I'm talking about the entitlement among video gamers. I'm not going to name names, but do some YouTube research, and you will see there are a lot of people that are talking about Titanfall's map pack. And it's innocuous enough. It's relatively cheap. I think it's priced in the range that Halo 4's Season Pass was priced at. It's not up there with Battlefield 4. I think it's maybe half the cost of the Battlefield 4 Season Pass or a Call of Duty Season Pass. Either way, map pack, Season Pass. For $25 you get 3 packs. People are complaining. And I thought, is this a form of entitlement? You know, it was last year or the year before we started hearing grumblings from certain corners of geekdom, the land of fanboy, because microtransactions existed in a Call of Duty game. That you couldn't just rely on your skills, getting headshots and poning your opponent to unlock all those wonderful pixelated camos. No, you had to spend $3 of your parents' money to get your camos for your guns, and people started going nuts. Now look, the camos don't change the game. It's not like if you buy this camo pack, you're going to play better. But I understand map packs because you want to be able to play the same game types and maps as your friends. You don't want to be the odd man out, the one who didn't pony up the extra $10, buy the most recent downloadable content. I get it. But where is the anger? And it's real, because there's some people out there, some big YouTubers that are complaining about how, you know, this is another money grab. That because they charge $250 for a hardened limited edition pre-order Titanfall package and you didn't get a season pass in it, that they are just the typical greedy corporate bastards that they are. They're not there just to provide us with this game that's awesome. And that last statement, I think, is that's what I meant by entitlement. Gamers, you're not owed some amazing freaking game. Every time a game comes out and there's small issues in it, balance. Oh my God, I'm so sick and tired of hearing this word balance. Balance, balance, balance. The game is not balanced enough. Number one, I don't think that word means what you think it means. Because think of a game like, and I'm quoting a developer from Bungie who spoke at the Game Developers Conference. This is years back. But you can go on to gdc.com, I believe, look in their archives, and find this video. A game of rock, paper, scissors is balanced. Because every weapon you choose, the paper, the scissors, the rock, every weapon you choose it can beat one of the options, but it can be beat by one of the options. There's complete balance in the game, but that also makes it completely random. There is literally no skill involved. There's some psychological skills in a rock, paper, scissors contest, and believe it or not, they do have World Series of rock, paper, scissors. But like I said, there's more psychology involved in trying to guess or make the other person, trick the other person into trying to guess wrong. But again, it's about guessing. It's random. When things are completely balanced, it takes out strategy. You have to actually have asymmetrical power shifts in order for strategy to take place. You have to have stronger weapons and weaker weapons. Anyway, I'm not talking about that. But again, you have gamers that will flood the internet and webs and forums begging the attention of the developers and publishers, anybody who will listen from the company, crying out that, hey, you need to fix your game, this is wrong. Where does this entitlement come from that you believe they have to listen to you? They don't have to listen to you. They want to provide you with the service. And as soon as you spend that money, the conversation is over. You're the freaking consumer. You give up all of your leverage once you make the purchase. That's how it works, buddy. That's how commerce works. You have all the leverage in the world when you're still shopping. If you've already bought the Xbox One, you've already made a decision. Now you're in that boat. You want to go ahead and pre-order games? Pre-order games. There goes your leverage. Quit complaining about DLCs and microtransactions and how they monetize their damn game when you've already pre-ordered it. Are you kidding me? I hate making comparisons to politics, but honestly, it's like, why have debates or a campaign at all? You should just say, hey, I am either a liberal or I am a conservative, I'm Democrat or Republican or Libertarian or whatever else, and just vote for your candidate without even seeing their name. They don't even need to tell you who's running. Just vote because you believe that that's the best option. And then when the person gets elected, you're like, oh my, I'm so shocked. This person is not who I thought they would be. You want to pre-order that game? This game is not what I expected. Where's the entitlement? You lose all leverage when you make the purchase. The free-to-play games are getting a bad rap. It's not so bad when you're downloading and playing for free. You're like, hey, this is great. This is awesome. They're like, oh, man, they're tricking me into buying all these things. And I don't want to grind and spend 100 hours a week trying to get past this level. And then it costs $3 and I could just advance 4 levels. Oh, it's so evil. It's called a business model. Take some college classes. It's not evil. It's not bad. Like I said, where's the entitlement? Who is owing you this great, amazing game that's free? It's cheap and free, has a lifetime of support, and they would just spend truckloads of money updating their servers constantly and putting out patches and responding to your crazy Twitters at 3 o'clock in the morning. Where's the entitlement that you believe that this company should exist that does all of these things? And and that's the other part is, when we talk about the developer support, you want this long support tail to last 3 or 4 or 5, 10 years down the road. It's ridiculous. Eventually, they can't support the servers forever. And then when you buy a game for $60 and you don't want to buy DLC and you don't want to spend any more money on microtransactions, but you expect them to, just continually pump money into maintenance and support for the servers? It doesn't. Go start your own business. If you're a gamer that you feel entitled to all of these things, go start your own business. And then you'll understand these problems. But look, it's not just the gamers who are entitled, because really the impetus for this rant today was not even about gamers. I did watch some YouTube videos where people were complaining about Titanfall. And I thought, and it wasn't even a real critical, they weren't mean-spirited. It was a veiled attempt to be critical at Titanfall, honestly. But I saw through it. They were just unhappy that they had to spend a few extra dollars. But generally speaking, that's much better than the, oh man, this game is so great, I can't wait for it to come out. Titanfall, man. Oh my gosh, Titanfall, it launches on March 11th. I have so much gameplay that I've spent the past 3 or 4 weeks building up on my YouTube channel. I can't wait for the ban to be lifted. I can share all this amazing video with you and your friends. Make sure to like, subscribe, tweet, and leave a comment for me. Oh, remove your ad blocker. Click on those ads so I can get paid more money bringing you all this amazing content. Yeah. I'm glad that, it wasn't one of those videos, and I'm happy. It wasn't one of those, but still, it wasn't that harsh. No, the impetus for this rant was an article on gamasutra.com. If you haven't figured it out, I really like that website. It's just a really cool blog, news information. You see a lot of jobs posted inside the industry. It's just a really good insider or business trade blog that I love and enjoy. And the article was, let me give you the headline so you can go find it yourself. Please fix your hiring practices. His first name is Anthony. And look, I'm not saying that Anthony doesn't have a gripe or he has a right to his opinion. Yes, he does. But again, having an opinion doesn't make it a good one. I just think that, welcome to the real world, Anthony. His problem is that he's an older guy. He's probably around my age. He has a lot of job experience, and he's having a hard time trying to find a job. Now, he goes through and lists all of his experience, which is great. It stacks up. I mean, it's amazing. You have an amazing resume. It's wonderful. And then he talks about, here's the sentence that really set me off. This is the dirty little secret of our industry. The moment someone has enough experience to know when stupid decisions are being made and when they're being taken advantage of, and enough integrity in their work to say something about it, they're castigated by the industry management castle. Their job ads always say they want creative, independent thinkers who are self-motivated and passionate about their work, but they don't really mean it. I just wish they'd be honest about it, and with us as well as themselves. Okay, Anthony. Congratulations. You're officially a grown-up now, and you understand how business works. Wow. This is employer-employee relationship right there. Yeah, you don't want somebody with too much experience. A lot of experience doesn't mean a great worker. And it definitely means that if you are management, and from your job titles, you've had positions where you're managing other people. Look, just take your own. I don't care if you've managed a freaking Burger King or McDonald's. At any time in your life, if you've been in charge of a group of people, you start to understand how the dynamics work. And when you have people that have a lot of experience, they can look at situations and they start thinking about things in a managerial aspect as well. And then they question your authority. Now look, when you're the boss, whether you're right or wrong, you need people to follow you. You don't need people second-guessing you every step of the way. It sounds great theoretically and academically if we want to sit in a room and do a mental exercise about making decisions and building things. But when, use the cliche, rubber meets the road, when you're on the factory floor, when things need to get done, when bullets are flying by your head, there's no time to think about the decisions that are made. You have a boss and they're in that role for a reason. They make the damn decisions. You're the worker? Create. Do what you were hired to do. And go home. That's it. That's your contract. That's your relationship with your employer. You're not entitled because you've worked a long time that everybody is supposed to fall in love with you. No. This is the reality. When you get older, yes, if you leave a job, it actually becomes harder to find a new job. Now, there's a lot of things going on in the world today, in America today, regarding jobs and unemployment and economy and this, and a lot of people are thinking we're on like a 2-track system right now where some people who are well off and they're in industries that are booming, like tech industry. And you would think, oh, this guy, he's talking about it's a video game job that's, tech related, right? Software. He's still better off than people that are in more traditional, labor type markets, labor type industries. But there's a 2-track economy and one's doing much better than the other. There's also a generational issue going on, and it doesn't just mean that the older generation doesn't understand the new generation. That's a constant. That paradigm is stable. That's always going to be that way. the new paradigm, well, it's not even the new paradigm, but the situation today, as it is we have this millennial generation is what it's called. They're much larger. You have the baby boomers. Really, obviously, it's called the baby boomers. Make up a large percentage of the population. You have the Gen Xers, which I'm a Gen Xer. Very small. Now, there's a reason why you have the baby boom and then the Gen Xers were so small. A large part of that was birth control. I think I talked about that on yesterday's podcast and how it has created a buyer's market for men and why marriage is getting pushed back. It's also why the Gen X generation is so small relatively to the ones in between, because as soon as you had that sexual revolution and you had birth control, Roe v. Wade, you had less people having children than otherwise would. And there's a lot of statistics to show that this has had far-reaching impacts. One, generationally, you just have less people. Well, what's that mean? Well, in today's market, when you were getting a job, you had the baby boomers. They're supposed to be retiring. Well, they're not because of the economy. They're also not retiring because there wasn't enough Gen Xers to replace them. What we're seeing then is you have a lot of millennials coming in and leapfrogging people that are Gen Xers. So that, Mr. Anthony, if you're around my age, we are getting leapfrogged in the economy by millennials. If you have a job, if you are in a growing industry, you should have the baby boomers ahead of you retiring. Those old folks, 60s and 70s, 50s, right? They should be retiring. The younger people are going to be coming right out of college. They're going to take your job. Number one, there's more jobs available for them to take. And second, yes, they are cheaper. Now, to speak to his blog or comment editorial, he's going off on the fact that you have this kid that's hungry and right out of college, and he'll work for cheaper, or she'll work for less money. They'll work harder hours. They'll do what they're told. They have less experience, so they won't question things when they are quote-unquote stupid. Yes, yes, and yes, Anthony. And if you started your own company, you would hire that person as well. You mean I can pay this person less money, get twice as much work out of them, and they won't question my authority? Okay. What's your case again? I just think there's a little bit of entitlement. Anthony, where do you get off, buddy? Just because you've worked in an industry for a while and you've reached a certain age, companies are not you are owed nothing. And he mentions in his article that he has a family. I have a family as well. I stopped working because I spent too much time away from my family. I was traveling way too much, missing out on way too much time. I love the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick from ESPN, he has the DP show on DirecTV and NBC Sports. He's mentioned that before too. He left ESPN to do his radio show so that he could spend more time with his family. He could work the hours he wanted to work. And his children were high school and middle school aged at the time that he left ESPN. I'm not putting myself in the same category as Dan Patrick by no means, but people make these decisions later in life and say, you know what? It's just not worth it. Anthony, in his little comment editorial on Kama Sutra, wanted to say that, oh, well, I have a family. I can't work the kind of hours. They're my priority. I'm sorry, Anthony. You are not entitled for the company that you applied to work for, that you begged, take a chance on me and give me compensation, monetary compensation. They also don't have to care about your family. They're not entitled to it. It would be nice, but so are rainbows and unicorns, right? Those are all nice. They don't have to, however. And a younger person without a family is a better prospect if you're building a business and you want things to be built and shipped, which video games, look, it's a high-pressure situation. I understand. But why so freaking entitled? He ends his editorial talking about the training and education as well. Now, he's gone on and listed this huge list of I'm an amazing person. That's what his resume boils down to. Okay. But he also takes aim at the video game industry, saying that the programming tests they give aren't right and they need to change them, because clearly he knows what he's doing and is talented, but fails their programming test because they're looking for one specific skill. Again, I'm sorry, buddy. If that's their business, they're allowed to run it however they want to. I've said this before. If you're unhappy, go start your own company. Go make something yourself. At a certain point when you're complaining enough, you should just stop what you're doing and take action. My podcast here is kind of that for me. I'm just taking action. Instead of yelling at the walls, I'm going to yell at the interwebs. And maybe somebody will hear it. So maybe someone will agree. Maybe someone will disagree. You can convince me that I'm wrong. Maybe that will happen. There's a little bit of action there. And also because I believe that some of these conversations just aren't taking place in the video game industry. Like the entitlement. Who's got the balls to stand up at one of the major video game review, blog, websites, somebody who's got a lot of clout, and just tell it like it is? Can we actually get an industry insider who's not afraid of repercussions? Because that's what it comes down to. You're afraid of being blackballed in the industry. You don't want to come out as a developer and say, hey, look, this is what's really going on. Because no one will hire you after that. But just because no one's saying it and everybody's afraid to say it doesn't make this an untruth. That gamers are entitled and some of these employees are entitled. There's a lot of demand for video games. The industry is making money. It's still growing. It's around $14 billion a year industry. It's just, it has its problems. It might reach a tipping point. At a certain point, how can video game companies continue to cater and pacify these fans, these customers, the people who are willing to pre-order? How can they continually pacify them and keep all of those, online petitions from getting out of control, while at the same time pacifying their employees, their staffs, and still turn a profit? I mean, geez, Anthony, if they kept every single person because, I don't want to fire you because you have a family and that's going to be tough. We'll just keep you on. We'll find something for you to do. We'll just cut you a paycheck. Do whatever you can. How's the company supposed to make money? If they're not going to charge you for downloadable content or put microtransactions in the game, and you don't want to pay more than $60 for the game, which, by the way, that price point has stagnated, and you realize with inflation that games today are actually cheaper than they were in the 80s. Because consumers just don't want to go above that $60 price point. Well, that's why you're going to get nickeled and dimed. And companies have figured out, you know what, we do have a business model here. We can make this profitable. No, we got to have half the YouTube and half the damn internet fans. Half of them are in bed and just happy to shill for the companies and be their spokesman and talk about how great things are. Hey man, check out my YouTube channel. Oh my god, I can't wait to play the newest Halo game. Oh hey man, I got some news. Here's the new game coming out. Blah 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 blah. Breaking news! This major video game publisher is releasing a sequel to its popular franchise. You can use that, by the way. I think I might just put that on the blog every single day. Breaking news! There's a major video game publisher that's planning a sequel to one of its most popular franchise titles. It will be a AAA game and will be on the next-gen console. Oh my gosh. That's going to be my news story every single day. Oh my god. I mean, some of these YouTubers, they're entertaining, yes. And when I'm looking for information, sometimes I find what I'm looking for, so that's good. But you have half of them doing that, and then you have the other half, just complaining about nonsense that makes absolutely zero sense at all. You're unhappy about the microtransactions? Are you freaking serious? I've talked before about some serious social, topics where you take the video game world and it's getting into mainstream and people think, hey, video games, we can't let kids have it, got to make a video game registry. If you buy a violent video game, you're going to go in this registry. National Health Service will know who you are, where you live. If you're a video game player, the internet companies are going to charge you more money. It's going to end up being like a syntax. Here's a prediction for you. Mark my words. This is a prediction. Write this down. The same kind of syntax you have on alcohol and cigarettes, because they're bad, right? Or gasoline. It's so bad and powerful for the environment. So they put a tax on it. And people think, yeah, it's good because it's punitive and we're trying to get people to use less of it, right? The sales tax, the crazy, outrageous sales tax on cigarettes. We think it's punitive. Oh, it'll keep them from doing it because it costs so much. It'll be a deterrent. Same thing with alcohol. It's called a sin tax. Well, what ends up happening? The government rakes in money from those tax. That's tax revenue. I don't care why you have the tax. In the end, it's the same thing. It's called tax revenue. So when you want the government to raise the tax on the top 1% because they should pay their fair share, that's revenue, right? You want them to have, well, when they're raising taxes, sin taxes, it's the same thing. It's revenue. They don't want to give that up. If everybody quit, here's a mental exercise for you. If everybody quit smoking, quit drinking, obeyed all traffic laws, your local city hall, your local state government, they would go insane. They would have a heart attack. The money would just dry up. It would have a huge impact. Here's the next syntax. This is my prediction. The next syntax will be on internet services for gamers. There was that article they wanted to tax the video game industry if they make a violent video game. Clearly, they're looking at punitive ways to increase tax revenue. Everybody's going to be on board because people, you get that discussion out there in the mainstream media, shows up in people's Facebook feeds. People see that and go, yeah, violence in video games is just bad. I mean, the kids are getting all desensitized and they just run around blowing people's heads off on the game. And they sit and they spend hours staring at that damn box all afternoon. And they're not out there talking with each other and playing stickball in the street like we used to do when we were young. Jesus Christ, these kids just need to get out there and slap on a helmet and run and just run, haul ass full speed, just bang into each other, man. Causing brain damage when you're older. And that's the way it should be and it used to be, God darn it. Let me compose myself, sorry. But honestly, that's the next syntax. They'll tax your bandwidth. They'll tax you want to get Verizon Fios because you do a lot of gaming. Oh, you're video gaming, got an Xbox subscription, online service, Steam, tax, because it's bad, it's harmful, it's disruptive to society. Talk about that. No, I'm sorry, YouTubers. You have a lot of influence, you have a lot of subscribers, you have a lot of people watching you, hanging on your every freaking word every single day, but you want to spend the time talking about how $25 for a season pass for Titanfall might be asking too much. And they should come down off the price. These... I don't even know. This has got to be continued. Tomorrow on Friday, I'm going to talk about first person shooter, but I've got to pause it here. This is to be continued. I'm not going to spend an hour ranting about this. But it pisses me off. I'm angry. I'm angry at the fact, and that's why I'm doing this podcast. That's why I have Gamers on Tap. That's why I talk about my blog in the way I do. That it's not like all your other video game blogs. I'm not doing game reviews. I'm not telling you the greatest news of what game is coming out. I'm not giving you tips on how to be a better player. I'm just trying to give you a topic and a side of the argument. One possible approach to this topic. It might be the right one. It might be the wrong one. Who cares? But I see these stories that are related to the things I'm talking about. I just think that just follow the logic. Follow the logic. Think this through. Where does this lead? What does this mean? Think about things, people. If you love video gaming so much, if you like this hobby, then you need to quit worrying about some of these petty bullshit things. The price of a season pass. The price of a season pass? How much money have you spent at the Apple Store in the past year? For crying out loud. Look at the way you spend your money. I don't know. Maybe don't order Domino's this week. Try not eating pizza. Try not drinking soda for a week. Spend that money on the video game. It's not that big of a deal, people. It's really not that much money. And you're just wasting breath, and you're wasting people's time talking about that garbage instead of talking about some other issues that might really matter. This is to be continued. Talk about this more tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Leave a comment. I don't care if you agree or not. I want your opinion though. I do value it. But when I say I don't care if you agree, I mean disagree. I would appreciate you subscribing. Just let me know that I'm onto something here. And when the time comes, I'm going to put ads up on my stuff too. Eventually I want people to, I want to be able to sell ads and do ads for, Kiwi 6. They're the audio hoster I'm using right now. It's a free audio file hosting site. But I would love to be able to, read some ads before my show. I'm going to take part in commercialism as well. I'm just trying to make this thing pay for itself, though. So I can have Domino's twice a week and pay for a season pass. That's where I'm getting at. I can upgrade my microphone. I can upgrade my setup here to do the podcast, to do the YouTube. I'm sure people would appreciate an HD camera, if this was filmed in good HD. I've got a Nikon D800 camera, and it does HD video, but I can't figure out how to get it to work. I'm a trained photojournalist, but, I go back to the old film days. This newfangled digital stuff, man, it confused the hell out of me. I don't understand. How does it take movie pictures and still photographs at the same time? It's mind-boggling. Yeah, but yeah, so anyway, this is to be continued. Thanks again. I'm Gunner, and this was the Gamers on Tap podcast.